Hello everyone, my name is Julie, and this week I will be filming my October reading wrap-up. And since last week I featured my cat in the video, I figured I'd feature a different pet this week. So here we have my snake. His name is Hawk. He is named after this talking pig from this anime. He's a plains hognose snake, and if you want more content with him, let me know. I'll make some shorts maybe, because he's a little funny noodle. He's not enthused to be in this video. Alright, I put the snake away. Unfortunately, it would just be too hard to film with him. So yes, I am doing an October reading wrap-up. I actually read a lot of books this month. I've read 13 total books, and I'm gonna tell you the breakdown of all those books right now. I had 4 horror books, 3 thriller books, 2 fantasy, 1 memoir, 1 classic, 1 historical fiction, and 1 science fiction. A lot of different genres this month. As you may or may not know, I'm in my Stephen King era, and when I saw the synopsis for this novella, I was intrigued. After this big storm, our main character and his very young son go to the grocery store for provisions. Yes, everybody in this town for some reason goes after the storm and not before the storm. Neither here nor there. When a huge mist rolls in and you can't even see like 5 feet ahead of you. It's just so thick. And then you have someone from the town run to the store yelling, "Something in the mist! It got Johnny," or whatever. And so yes, that is the whole premise of this book, is that a big mist rolls in and there is monsters in the mist. And if you're looking for more, there isn't. That's literally it, and I think that's iconic. I gave this book a 3 stars because it didn't really have too much going on. I thought it was good, it was fine, it was middle of the road, but obviously there are better Stephen King books around. The next book I read was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. This is sort of a dystopian novel where these creatures start appearing. If people see these creatures, they become really aggressive and violent, and they kill anyone who's around them and then themselves. So I don't know what kind of creature does that, because the book doesn't really tell you much about them. Unfortunately, that was kind of my big qualm with this. I know Josh Malerman wrote a second book, I think in response to how popular the movie was, that might go into more depth with this, but like I'm not really that invested in it, so I guess we'll never know what these kind of creatures do. This follows a bit of a dual timeline, showing a mother and her 2 young kids trying to escape this house and make it to a safer location. The other timeline shows this woman before she has the kids with this kind of band of misfits trying to sort out their new lives. I gave this book a 4 stars. Like I said, I would have liked, I don't know, a bit more about what these monsters really are, because we kind of just called them creatures the whole book and had really no description. The next book I read was For She Is Wrath by Emily Varga. This is a book about revenge. Dania is wrongly convicted of a crime and is imprisoned because of it. She is betrayed by her kind of best friend slash love interest, and she swears revenge on him and several other people who got her to this place. After her and another prisoner, Noor, escape the prison, they seek out this magical seed called Zorat, use these magical abilities to get revenge on the ones who have wronged them. This book is supposed to be a Pakistani retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo, which I haven't actually read yet, but it's here. It'll get chosen eventually. I gave this 4 stars. If you like classic retellings, maybe this will be for you. The next book I read this October was Sociopath by Patrick Gagné. This is a memoir by a self-proclaimed sociopath. I don't know what I really expected going into this, but a lot of her retellings through her life were a little disturbing, a little illegal. I don't want to say anything too bad because this is somebody's life. I did see in the reviews there were kind of a lot of questions about if her qualifications were really legitimate and if her diagnosis was correct. I think that does lead to some questions about this novel, questions that I will not personally get into. But I gave this a 3 stars because it left kind of a weird taste in my mouth. Next we have Blaze by Richard Bachman, or as we know him, Stephen King. This was sort of an ode to Of Mice and Men. Blaze used to be a very smart kid, but after suffering abuse from his father and some brain injuries, he's left sort of mentally challenged. Without any support systems, Blaze falls into a life of small-time crime with his partner, George. We find out pretty early on that George has passed, but Blaze kind of still sees him and talks to him. His first big crime that he is going to take on by himself is kidnapping the baby of a rich family. But of course, with a few screws loose, he makes a lot of mistakes, leaves a lot of evidence. Blaze is such a lovable anti-hero. You just want the best for him. This was a really, really great novel. And I don't know why people, including Stephen King himself, kind of put this one on the back burner. I think it's really great. I gave this book 5 stars, and I might have cried during the last couple chapters of this, honestly. Then I listened to the audiobook for The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I have read another one of his books before, Survive the Night, and I really did not like it, but a lot of people didn't like it, and he has other popular books, so I decided to give this one a chance. Man, I didn't like this one either. I'd say for the first 75% of this book, I was enjoying it. I think it was definitely a little bit outlandish and a little ridiculous. I thought our main character was trying too hard to be a detective and not the caretaker that she was hired to be. She is terrified of this 70-year-old woman who literally cannot move because she was accused of killing her family 60 years ago. And instead of minding her damn business, she decides that she is going to be a detective, figure this shit out. I was enjoying it until the last 25%, where Riley Sager decided that we needed a plot twist, which was fine. Expected. Mystery thriller book. Give me a plot twist. But then there was another plot twist and another one and another one, another one, another one. And each one was more and more ridiculous than the last. 3 stars to Riley Sager, which is 1 star above what I gave his last book. So I guess progress, but I think I might be done with him. The next one was a banger. It was The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I know this one isn't, I guess, her most popular one, but as somebody who's like really interested in all types of natural disasters, the Dust Bowl included, I really, really love this. This follows the harrowing journeys of our main character Elsa and her family as they live through the Dust Bowl, and they have to decide if they're going to leave their land behind or emigrate to California like everybody else was at this time. There's a lot of suffering and a lot of hard work that goes into trying to make a better life for her family. You are constantly rooting for these people, wishing and praying for the best for them. I certainly cried for the last like 25% of this book. The first of many Kristen Hanna books I will be enjoying. I gave this 5 stars. It's a great historical fiction, and it really makes you think about the creation of America and I don't know, all the prejudices people have against one another. Next, I read The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. We see 2 timelines in this book. We see a family sort of falling into disarray, becoming kind of cult-like, which concludes with the death of 3 people, 2 missing children, and a baby left upstairs by themselves. The present-day timeline follows that baby finding out her true identity and finds out that she has inherited this giant house that this tragedy occurred in. We also hear from the 2 siblings who went missing and their journeys back to that house to see the missing sister. It's really interesting to see how all these characters weave together and how their histories and their presents come back together. I gave this book a 4 stars. I thought it was a pretty good thriller. It kept me on the edge of the seat. It was kind of eerie. The next book I read was The Last Thing to Burn by Will Dean, and this was sort of a depressing one for sure. 2 women are immigrating from Vietnam to the United Kingdom to get jobs, to pay off their debts. One of these women think they are going to be working for this man who ends up kidnapping and holding her hostage for, I believe, 9 years. She is given a name that's not her own. She's abused, raped, made to work every day, and the only reason she doesn't escape or try to kill him is because she's told if she does, then her sister will be deported. We come to find out that she is pregnant with this man's baby, and her baby just becomes another threat he could use against her to make her stay. The real turning point is when he abducts another woman, and our main character realizes that she has to save herself, her baby, and this 3rd woman. This book was a 4 stars for me. And then I read The Lost Village by Camilla Sten, and as predicted in my October TBR video, I didn't like this book. This woman decides to make a documentary about this town where all of the residents went missing 60 years ago. Her and the crew make it to this decrepit town. They start seeing things, hearing things, people start getting hurt. The setting was definitely creepy and I appreciated the suspense, but the conclusion of this book, it was not good. It was just not good. It makes you think, what happened 60 years ago that nobody decided to check this location where all the villagers could have gone missing? Nobody checked the most obvious location. I liked what they were trying to do with kind of the cultiness of the village 60 years ago, but it just kind of fell flat. I gave this book a 3 stars. I appreciated the setting and the idea of making a documentary about it I thought was cool, but like they didn't really do much documentarying. The Outsiders by S.C. Hinton. I'm assuming everyone's read this book because I had to in middle school. I am not gonna go into too much detail. I gave this book a 5 stars because it's a classic. Stay gold, pony boy. Alright, we're almost there. Stick with me here. The Martian by Andy Weir. In my October TBR, this was my 5-star prediction book, and I was correct. I gave this book a 5 stars. Mark Watney is an astronaut on Mars, and when his crew thinks he has passed away and there's a big storm and they need to evacuate, he is left behind, but lo and behold, he is alive. His self-preservation kicks in and he starts making all these preparations to ensure he lives as long as possible in time for some sort of rescue mission. This book is written in log entries as he tries to make preparations to save himself. Later on we hear from NASA as they make preparations to save him. I honestly don't know if I would like science fiction if it wasn't written by Andy Weir, because he's so clever and he doesn't really make you feel stupid even when they get into the science of it all. Maybe a spoiler alert, but I don't know. The book's been out for 10 years and there's a movie. I would have liked to see a little bit more after him being rescued. That's really like my one qualm with it. I would have liked to see a little bit more of his reunion with his crew. But besides that, it was a 5 out of 5 book. And the final book that I read this October, number 13, is Inferno's Heir by Tiffany Wang. This book follows our morally gray princess lead Tia as she joins the rebel group to get a favor from the crown, which is her soon-to-be king half-brother who hates her, tries to get her killed a bunch of times. I've seen this compared to Six of Crows, in which it's a group of specialized individuals coming together to perform a heist. I suppose it does do that. The closeness of these characters is really in question for me, since when Tia first infiltrates the rebels, they all obviously hate her because she is part of the royal family. Seemingly chapters later, they're all besties. This just felt like a super generic fantasy book to me. Like, I feel like the world didn't stand out to me, the magic system definitely didn't stand out to me, and the plot was just like, meh. I gave this book 3 stars. It was a YA fantasy with pretty generic characters. So those are the books I read this month. Have you read anything good lately? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, while you're there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, Girl Scout, and goodbye!